Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Mukakadash, double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Mystery and Real Well, and to the accurate and four corners of the earth. Shalom, 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 preaching the gospel from Mashiach Yahushai in sincerity and in truth. So this agenda of NATO expanding eastwards towards Russia. It's all part of prophecy, and it's all the doings of the so-called elites that pull the strings of power in this world. All right, they try to set the tone of rulership upon the face of the earth, and their ultimate goal, is to get the birthright back. The Edomite elites, the elites of Edom, namely from Amalek. That's the whole agenda, and they've been practicing and practicing for for centuries, man. They've been putting things in place, all these wars and all that stuff. It's all it's to their own benefits, all right? So don't get distracted by all these so-called ideas of geopolitics and the collapse of the dollar and all that stuff. The reason why they're bringing about all this chaos is because they want to get that birthright back, and they're gonna do whatever they can, from censoring brothers' channel, shutting down avenues of the truth coming out. They will do that. They gotta throw people in jail. They will do that. They gotta kill people. They'll make it happen. They're gonna cause all type of mischief in society. They will do that. So don't get carried away by all these big old headlines in the news. It's part of prophecy, but the main aim is to create an unsafe environment to make our people fall, out of the good graces of the Most High. So that's why all these evils are being pushed upon the face of the earth. So don't drink the Kool-Aid. So always remember, man, things that happened in World War II and World War One and all that stuff is because they had to put things in place. So whoever tries to interrupt their plan, they're gonna get jacked up. It's basically a snare from the Lord. The Most High is the one that's allowing them to be deceived. So it's basically a trap that the Most High is setting stuff for them, thinking that they could overcome, the rivalry between the house of Yasharala, all right, and the house of Adawam, all right. So it's basically the struggle, and a lot of people don't really understand what's really going on. So I'll read a quick precept from the book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 7. So it says, surely the Lord Yahweh will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. All right. So it's very, very important, man. You pay attention, to certain events in history. They play their hand, in World War One when they went against Armenia, when Amalek, that was controlling the Ottoman Empire, controlling Turkey. They had to go against Armenia and brand them as Amalekites. So always remember that, man. That's how that's how Edom works. and the Most High made that possible so his servants, the prophets, would know exactly what they've been up to. So it's very, very necessary, man, that you just pay attention to certain events in history and then you understand what's going on, okay? So you don't get carried away. That's it's all about geopolitics. No, it's about them getting the birthright back. So I'm going to read from the book of Job, chapter 14, verse 5. It says, "Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds, that he cannot pass." All right. So all their goals and all their agenda, when they're at these so-called conferences, they always talk about what they want to do 5 years from now, 15 years from now, so-called green economy they want to jumpstart and all that stuff. It's just it comes with a with a cost. A lot of people don't know until they look under the hood, and they see that they have nothing positive to bring to the table. It's just more oppression because that's what they want. They want power. They want to have Psalms 49 and 11 in their favor. So let me read Psalms 49 and 11. So it says this: "Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own name." So all these big wigs, all these billionaires and trillionaires that are embedded with the elites, pushing this agenda, their goal is to make sure that their dynasty, lasts forever. All these so-called international bankers and all these peons doing their biddings and all that stuff, from the house of Edom. Their goal is to stay in rulership forever, and that's what they want. When they see something is not going in their favor, they have to undermine it and create a chaotic environment. Okay, that's why that's why they have to allow these wars to happen. To keep the people subjugated. And to send them back to the scratch, start again. When I say people moving up, they gotta undermine it somehow. Okay. So another precept will be from the book of Job, chapter 5. So the Most High has put it in their mind to be deceived, and I want to read Job chapter 5, verse 12. "He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong." All right. So all those tricks, all those so-called moves they pulled during World War One and World War Two was just to set Amalek up to get the land of Israel. So that's what they've always been after, the birthright. Set up chaos, pretend as if the war is it's a serious conflict, but it's just manipulation of people's perception. So that's what they discuss in the inner circle, man. How they could get closer and closer to getting the birthright back. And the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai is already suited up, to appear in the heavens and crush, the whole agenda. That's why they having all these equipment in space. That's why they have a space program. Moab got a space program. Edom has a space program. And that's exactly what they're doing. When you read Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, that's what they are all about. That's when you figure out that they've been uh, they've been working on all along. Okay, and that's the reason they also are pushing the MOTB. You know, with the subtle tricks. So Psalms chapter 83 lets you know exactly what they've been up to. So the elites of these heathen nations, all right, are part of that agenda. All right, so Psalms 83 verse 4 says this: They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And that's the reason why, the world is basically being plunged into a system of mandates, a system of oppression, a system of totalitarianism. Okay, so that's what they're after. Okay, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. All right, against the children of Israel, against the so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, and the so-called Native Americans. That's why there's always instability. When Jake is trying to move up, Esau's always gotta cause chaos. That's why you have your so-called intelligence agencies to mess things up for our people. And then he uses the sellouts, from among our people to achieve his goals. So those days are basically coming to an end. That's why they in a rush. Their last card to play is World War III. Because when they push the chip out there, the MOTB, the mark of the beast, a lot of people are not gonna go with it. And what are they gonna do? They have to create a difficult environment. You have to generate chaos. And Scripture talks about people getting beheaded and all that stuff. Invasion of communities and societies and countries and all that. Break down society. That's by their own doing. Okay. And then verse 6 names the nations. It says the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes. So yeah. So when you watch the events in the Middle East, you understand they're working together hand in hand with the elites of Amalek, of the nation of Edom. So it says of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot. So that's why they're always pushing tension between the EU and Russia, tension between Elam and Moab, tension between Moab and Ammon. All right, tension between Palestine and the so-called state of Israel, tension in Ethiopia, Sudan, Libya, tension in West Africa, tension here, in North America, even up towards Canada, so they have to push this unstable environment so they could achieve their goal. All right. So that's what it's all about. They have to start these chaotic events so they could maintain control of the birthright. So that's the point that I came. The more you look into it, that's what it is. All those, sanitized version of history concerning World War II, that was all one big old scam. That was basically based on scams and fraudulent statements. false flag this and false flags that, because they know who the Israelites are, man. They know the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, and Native Americans. So precept that you need to remember is it's from the book of Revelation. All right, I'll get it real quick. So this is it right here. Revelation chapter 3 verse 11. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast. All right, which is this testimony of Yahushai. The words of prophecy. All right, your birthright. Because the scripture talks about we being made a nation of kings and priests. Being a royal priesthood. That's what we have to hold on to. Our faith in the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai. So Revelation chapter 3 verse 11 says this, Behold, I come quickly, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. And what's that crown? Everlasting rulership, okay? And that is what you're going to read in the book of Isaiah chapter 45. All right, Isaiah chapter 45, verse 17. All right, so that's exactly what these so-called elites are after. Okay, so it says in Isaiah 45 and 17, But Israel shall be saved in the Lord Yahweh Bashim Ashai Bashim Kakadash with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. All right. So that's an opposition to Psalms chapter 49 and 11. All right. So the elites of Edom want to rule forever, and the Lord has set it up for them to be prevented, in doing so by sending His Son Hamashiach Yahushai, to deliver us from our sins, because the Israelites believe as long as they keep our people sinning and sinning and sinning, our hope of salvation will never be possible, and then they add a destruction to the sauce. So that's why it's very important, man, that everything is not about all this collapse of the dollar and geopolitics and all that stuff. Their whole agenda was to destroy our people and keep them in a state of delusion, so that when the Lord Hamashiach Yahushua returns, there will be no people, to save from our nation, the nation of Israel. So that was the point there, Akim. The bear and and the eagle, they're basically being controlled by Amalek. All right, so just stay focused. All right, Bashim El Shai, Bashim El Kakadash, Shalom.